Hey guys, so today's video is going to be my 3-month postpartum, and I do apologize. First off, I meant to do an 8-week postpartum because that's typically how long it takes for a C-section truly to recover. What? Ooh. Oh, what? But it just kind of got by me. I kept writing it down like I'm gonna do it, and I never did. And I actually was going to do a 2-week postpartum too, so I figured I'm completely healed. I've been through the whole experience. This is my second time now. So I thought I would go ahead and talk about it so that I have a good, clear picture for you guys on how my recovery actually went. Okay, so postpartum, 3.5 months now. I had Autumn September 1st via C-section, and I was a repeat C-section from my previous pregnancy. You guys should have already watched my labor and delivery video. If you follow my daily vlogs, then you're already kind of caught up with what's been going on with me. But if you're new to my channel, this was my second C-section, third baby, second C-section. And the first C-section was from failure to progress. I did not make it past 5 centimeters, had a C-section. I have my labor and delivery story, my pregnancy vlogs, and my postpartum story. I'll have that all linked down below for my first pregnancy. And then I will also have my labor and delivery story, my delivery video, and this video linked down below. So in case you're interested, everything will be linked down below. So in my labor and delivery story, which I just filmed, that's why you're seeing the same outfit, I talked about all my experience all the way up through the recovery room, which we stay at my hospital in recovery for 2 hours after you deliver with labor and delivery, just to make sure you don't have any initial complications, and then you're transferred to mother baby. So my experience there initially in recovery was awesome. I got to breastfeed and do skin to skin immediately, which was what I wanted. So because I got to do that, I feel like my journey kind of started off a lot better. With my first C-section, it was really tough because I did not get to do skin to skin or breastfeed for a couple of hours, and I think that really hurt that initial breastfeeding bond that we had. And I only got to breastfeed Maddie for 4 weeks, and then I just completely did not have anything to give her anymore, and it just didn't work out. So with Autumn, after recovery, because I got to breastfeed her right away, I continued to breastfeed the entire time I was in the hospital. Now with a C-section, my stay was 3 days, 2 nights in the hospital. My doctor actually wanted to leave me there 4 days, and I was like, no, you're sending me home. I can't do this another day. So 3 days, 2 nights. I delivered on a Thursday, and I was discharged on late Saturday. And it was great. And now in the hospital, initially I felt awesome. Got up, I was walking around, I felt fine, didn't have much pain. I was initially just taking Motrin. I was doing okay without the Norco, which is the narcotic that they give you. I was fine. Then the next day the pain started to set in. So after delivery, you don't walk for 6 hours. They keep you in the bed. They get you up, get your pad changed and everything, put those nice granny panties on you. They're wonderful. And then you kind of get back in bed and you just feed your baby every 2 to 3 hours. They do most of the work for you. Now the next day, they expect you to do more for yourself. You've already gotten up to change your pad. They expect you to change your pad after that, which is how it should be. The quicker you start walking and get moving after a C-section, the better. So I obliged. I did what I was supposed to do. I would get up and, change her diaper and just different things. And the rest helped a lot because I was very sore. I felt fine, but I was very sore. And I was hurting. I do have to say that. It wasn't like peaches and cream. And after that first day, I did start taking the Norco because I needed that extra pain assistance. It just was too much for me to move around and stuff. The problem that I had was getting up off the bed, like pulling myself up, any type of movement with my abs, and then laying down. I couldn't just throw myself down in bed. I had to gradually lay down. Needless to say, sleeping was awful because I am a tummy sleeper, and even sleeping on my sides hurt because I was putting too much pressure on my incision. So I had to sleep on my back, and my back had already been killing me from being pregnant, and it was killing me even more from having to lay in a hospital bed on my back after having surgery. So the hospital was very rough. My experience with this pregnancy was way worse than my last one. I shouldn't say pregnancy, with my delivery. I felt great after my last one. I was walking. I was not in this much pain. I was in so much pain in the hospital. That's why, another reason why I was like, I have got to get home. I have to get in my own bed. I have got to get some sleep. When I'm able to get sleep, I have to get some sleep. So that, I just needed to get out of there. The hospital was a very bad experience, and not even like the hospital staff and my stay there was great. It was just my pain level was off the charts there. It was very, I don't know. I think I was putting up a good front because my mom was like, you didn't seem like you were in pain at all. I said, well, I was. And I don't know if that was because I was the same size. I didn't gain much more weight or anything. I don't know if it was because it was the second time, like the scar tissue was a lot more sensitive the second time around. I don't know. A lot of people had told me your second C-section is a breeze compared to your first, so I was thinking, great, I'm gonna be in and out of this puppy, no problem. The delivery process was amazing. No complaints there. The initial recovery was really tough. Now, with my first C-section, it took me a solid 2 weeks to really feel good, and it kind of took me about 10 days this time to really feel like myself, like I could move at all, like I had any type of freedom. It took a solid 10 to 12, 14 days, somewhere around there. Now, I did have to go to my OB about a week in because I was having substantial pain, like shooting sharp pains in my abdominal area, so I did have to go to my OB for that. And I also felt like I had a UTI, which may be TMI, but I did, which often occurs when you get a catheter. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that does sometimes happen after you get a Foley catheter, and I just thought I was one of those percentages that got a UTI after the catheter. Turns out my urethra was just a little irritated. I didn't have a true UTI, so I didn't need any medication for that. The abdominal pains, everything was going back to the way it normally should have been. So it wasn't a huge deal that I was having those pains. And everything kind of progressed fine. As far as being at home, it was tough. Andres stayed with me for almost 3 weeks, which was nice because, again, having a C-section is I have a 2-story house. It's very difficult to get up and down the stairs. It just wasn't working for me, so it was nice to have him home to be with me and be supportive and to do most of everything for me. If it hadn't been for him, I would have lost tons of weight because I would have never eaten or anything. Breastfeeding was going okay. I had to supplement in the beginning, and you know, it was rough, but I had expected that. I knew what I went with Maddie and what I went through with Maddie, and I didn't expect anything less. So all that was fine. And again, if you follow my daily vlogs, I talked about these things daily. I talked about it every day, my struggles and what I was going through. This just kind of is a recap of everything. So fast forward a few weeks, my lochia, which is a bleeding that you have after delivery, was substantially less a few weeks in. It had started going from bright red to pink to like the brownish discharge color, and that stopped completely at about 4 weeks. So again, when you have a C-section, a lot of times your bleeding does not last as long as with a vaginal delivery, because with the vaginal delivery you also have trauma to the vagina as well as lochia, so you're dealing with that for a lot longer. I didn't have to do sitz baths or anything like that because I had no trauma to my lower half. None. It was completely intact. My trauma was to my abdomen where I had the incision. So I had to keep my incision clean. I did go for a 2-week post-op checkup. My incision looked great. The stitches had already been taken out in the hospital. I forgot to mention that. And my internal sutures were dissolvable. So all I had to do was keep when my sutures were taken out in the hospital, they did put steri strips over it, which are like super adhesive band-aids, and those just kind of slowly fell off and no issues. So I went to see my OB at 2 weeks. Everything looked great, and other than the time I saw her for the UTI, I went to go see her at 6 weeks and everything looked great. The steri strips had already pretty much fallen off. She took off the few that hadn't fallen off, and all I needed to do was keep it dry just so the infection, you know, the scar could heal properly. So I got these little pads, like gauze pads, and would keep it tucked under because I still had that like apron belly flap hanging over my incision, which is like breeding ground for infection. So I would keep it dry with those gauze pads and just change it out every few hours or so. Again, my lochia had pretty much stopped prior to my 6-week appointment. I did have to have a vaginal exam just to make sure my cervix and everything had gone back to normal, and everything was fine. Perfect, easy recovery, except I was in a lot of pain. I had stopped taking Norco like after the first 10 days. Like once I was feeling myself, I stopped taking it, and I stuck with Motrin for a few weeks after that. And then I think I was off any type of medication within like 2 to 3 weeks. No, like 3 weeks, I think. I had stopped taking anything. Sleeping was rough just because I had a newborn, and I still was having a hard time sleeping on my side or on my stomach for the first several weeks. So I wasn't able to get a good full night's rest, well, you know what I mean, with a newborn, until it was like closer to 3 weeks. And I was lucky Andres did a lot of the nighttime feedings. I was continuing to pump and breastfeed as much as I could. My supply was very minimal, but I pumped as long as I could. At some point she stopped taking the breast, and I just pumped until 9 weeks. And at 9 weeks I just was literally I was pumping all day and getting like an insignificant amount of milk that it just was no longer worth my time and effort. I had tried everything. I was taking fenugreek, I was taking lactation pills, I was taking a different type of lactation pills, I was eating lactation cookies, I was drinking all kinds of things, mother's milk tea and guzzling water, and just eating oatmeal and all these foods and things that are supposed to increase your milk supply, and it just did nothing for me. So unfortunately my breastfeeding journey stopped at 9 weeks, which was more than twice as long as I did with Maddie. So I was grateful for the 9 weeks that I had, and I did not beat myself up as much as I did with Maddie, because I was just so disappointed and so like, I hated that I had a C-section. I hated I couldn't breastfeed. I just was so like first time mom. Even though I wasn't a first time mom because we had Emmy, I was still a first time newborn mom. And it just was so disappointing to me that nothing worked like it was supposed to. But with Autumn, I anticipated all of these things, and so I didn't beat myself up. With Maddie, I felt like I had a little bit of postpartum blues, like baby blues. I didn't feel like that at all with Autumn. At all. I didn't have any like sappy crying for absolutely no reason moments at all. I mean nothing more than I normally have, which was crazy to me because I felt like my hormones were still all out of whack, and I feel like they're just now starting to get back into balance, but I didn't have any issues at all. So fast forward several weeks, she has done great. She has grown the way she's supposed to. She's a big girl for 3 months. She every time somebody sees her, they're like, oh my god, she's only 3 months. So it definitely has been a journey being a mom again for the second time with a newborn, third time overall. But she's been totally chill, totally different than Maddie. I mean, my world just completely opened up again. Like, it's so crazy to think that as a mom, your heart could fill with so much love for a baby. It just is, it's unreal to me, and it's so amazing being a girl mom. I love having little girls. Now, if I had had a little boy, my life would have been a little different, but I can imagine it just would have been just as great. She did get her shots at 2 months. We'll go off the sappy stuff. She did get her shots at 2 months. She did great. We did get her ears pierced. She was right under 3 months. We got them done like November, a couple days before Thanksgiving. Oh no, we got them done on Black Friday. So it was what, the 25th of November? And some people are against piercing, some people are for it. We personally were for it. We got it done right around the same time for Maddie, and I don't regret it one day. As far as myself, I am feeling 100% better. My back's starting to feel better. I don't have any residual pain from my C-section at all. I have had a normal cycle since then, and it lasted a normal amount of time. I started on my 30th birthday. Isn't that awful? 30th birthday. And when I started then, it lasted 4 or 5 days, which is typical for me. Everything was great. No excessive cramping, no excessive bleeding. It all kind of bounced back to normal, which I'm grateful for. I have had awful postpartum hair loss. Awful. I have 2 like huge bald spots right here that I kind of try and cover up with baby hairs, and I know it'll grow back. It did with Maddie, but it is what it is. Postpartum weight loss, I am officially back down to what I was before I got pregnant with Autumn. I lost 10 pounds right around this time. That got me back down to this because I had still been 10 pounds up from before I was pregnant with her. So I'm back down officially. I'm like right where I was when I got pregnant with her, which is awesome. And what else? Everything else has returned to normal in all aspects of life. I don't want to go into too much detail. Everything's back to normal. It feels like I never even had a baby. Can you believe it? It does go back, I have to tell you guys. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this postpartum